What I knew is that if I had to start from scratch figuring out equipment and how to get an editorial structure and how to certainly have it produced, that I was never going to do it.
I see that you've been podcasting with Jonathan since back in October of 2017.
Yes.
How long had you been thinking about doing a podcast before you found Jonathan?
I had been thinking about it for at least a year, probably more like 2 or 3. My husband actually discovered podcasting before I did and really kept telling me, I think this would be a great medium for you. And I wasn't sure my audience was there yet. And I certainly wasn't sure I was ready. All the moon and stars sort of aligned around the time that I met Jonathan. And what I knew is that if I had to start from scratch figuring out equipment and how to get an editorial structure and how to certainly have it produced, that I was never going to do it. And so the idea of being able to do what I do best, which is create the content and deliver the content and know that everything else was handled, was kind of that final missing piece and let us get it into the market.
Was there any sort of obstacle that would have prevented you from maybe buying this product or service?
No, I mean, upfront, I would say really the value equation, understanding like what was the investment going to be to get it up and running and then outsource the production, which I actually found to be quite reasonable by the time we got to that part of the discussion.
What have you found from buying this product?
So it's been pretty exceptional. I think, again, the timing was perfect for us because I already had an established audience who was curious and interested in these topics. And I had a blog that I'd had for a number of years and had pretty good readership within the blog and, again, high resonance of the content within our audience. What I didn't have was a way to reach people via an audio format or a video format for that matter. I just felt more drawn to audio. And so what's happened is people who were clients consistently were saying, I wish everyone could hear you teach because I think it would make a big difference in terms of the attraction level that they have to your work. It's kind of where you're at your best. I love to do public speaking, as an example. And so what we've seen is that people who didn't know my work at all or first came across it through the written blog have really developed a depth of relationship with me and with the philosophies that I teach because of this format. I get the chance to go into more depth and provide more expression and interest, I guess, into the content that we're sharing. I'd say it's audience growth, just overall. Are we reaching more people through this than we were otherwise? The answer is yes. We know we're actually growing our audience through the podcast. And then conversion from people going from just being a member of the community consuming free content to actually coming into one of our coaching programs. We're able to track that pretty directly as well.
Is there a specific feature that you like most about the Podcast Factory services?
I don't know that it's a specific feature. What I would say I appreciate the most is that they understand the entire ecosystem and they tell me exactly where I need to plug in. So my job is very clear and they interact with people on my team as well. And our roles are very clear, very episodic, and the communication structure is simplified. So we always kind of are sure the project is on track. So that's what I like is that it keeps me doing what I do best and feeling confident that all the other pieces are being handled.
What 3 other benefits have you received from this Podcast Factory service?
Well, one for sure that I wanted to talk about is branding. So, when we came in to establish the podcast, the brand Brilliant Balance did not exist. And Jonathan took us through a branding exercise that landed on that collection of words and then ultimately on a tagline of balanced life, brilliant possibilities. It didn't exist. And now we're moving the entire company under that brand. So that was a very unexpected benefit, but I think the thought partnership on really getting underneath what is it? What is the benefit that you are bringing to your audience? How can you most succinctly articulate it? Really came through that exercise that he did with us. So that's one thing for sure that I didn't even know I was getting. And it really turned out to be a really meaningful asset. I think another thing is it forced me to codify the core philosophy of the business of my work into the initial 12 episodes. So the way that he structures that to say, let's do an initial 12, maybe you'll never do one again, right? Can I get the essence of what I teach down into a 12 episode format? And at the end of those 12 episodes, feel like if that's all anybody listened to, they would really know what I believed, what I stood for. And we delivered against that. And of course, then I fell in love with the format, so we're continuing forward. But that kind of becomes an asset block that I can use in varying formats, and I didn't really think about it. And I think the third one was it gave us the reason to create a new and different call to action. So we developed a lead magnet, the rebalancing toolkit that is proving to be our most successful lead magnet so far. And it was developed because of this process.
Would you recommend this service to others?
Yes. And I have. I run a mastermind with women entrepreneurs. I've recommended this to people there who are considering podcasts. I've sent several other people inside of my entrepreneur group there. They do a great job. They definitely know their craft and they make it really easy as a content creator.